I guess my main argument for the video will be at first glance, Paladins looks like a complete ripoff of Overwatch because of certain design choices they made. And
Uh-huh.
then, like, obviously, once you start playing the game, you realize it's nothing like Overwatch, and it plays more like Team Fortress 2 than anything. So,
And I would almost say like an Unreal Tournament as well, because it's so fast. It's much quicker than Overwatch.
yeah,
Like it's
it's very
fast paced.
chaotic. So,
Yeah,
but how do you like the graphic I made?
that looks good. That looks really good.
I mean, I know you haven't played a lot of Overwatch, but like literally the first time I ever heard of Paladins and like went to like look at the characters and stuff, I was just like kind of a little frustrated that they couldn't be bothered to at least try to make most of the characters different.
Oh, I know. Go to their champions, and
Oh,
that's Shaolin. You have an Asian guy with a bow. Sounds familiar. Like,
well,
come on.
they already had a bow and arrow character like in the game, and she had like a hawk or something. And then
Yeah,
so that the Shaolin guy is just like a new character they just put
yeah.
in the game. And it's just like it's kind of like a big fu to all the people that are criticizing them right now for like some of the character design choices. It's like, yeah,
Well, so then you have Ruckus, this little robot guy. Well, so it's like a little green dude in a robot,
right.
and again, like super quirky, more of a tank. Like I, I'm not
I
saying they
will.
can't.
Well, that's not my problem. My problem is you have you have a Reinhardt versus Fernando. They both have like an energy shield that comes out to block damage. Why
Both
did he have to
melee.
have it? Why did Fernando had to have an energy shield that looks exactly like Reinhardt's energy shield?
I know you
Eh,
have this
like,
Latin knight guy. Shouldn't he have had like a wall of rose petals or something funny? Like could have really
yeah.
done, given it like their own flair. You know, I mean, it's
Well,
high
and
res. They're talented. They could do something original.
well, I understand. I don't know, like that you needed a character like an engineer Team Fortress 2 s character for your game,
Yeah.
but why did you decide to make it an also a dwarf? Like like
Well, and I think again, that's like I'll even defend that saying like dwarves are always engineers and stuff. Like look at WoW, the dwarves.
right,
So
but
like I get it, but it's still they didn't really differentiate them at all.
let's agree that both Paladins and Overwatch took a lot of inspiration from Team Fortress 2, right?
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Obviously, I don't know what the development timeline has been in, but I would assume that Overwatch has been in development for quite some for years, right? Because originally it was probably going to be their next MMO IP, and
Hmm.
they scrapped it and decided to turn it into like a shooter. The question is like now that you have Overwatch and hi-rez studios, I have no problem with them saying like we really like what Overwatch is, we'd like to do our own version, but instead of them, or like you could say, oh, we really like Team Fortress 2 and we can see that genre is coming back in full swing now that Overwatch is coming out. Why don't
Hmm.
we make our own Team Fortress 2, which they have, and the game is fun and I think unique, and but it feels like they're like, okay, well, we need to make some characters, and their first, like, this graphic right here is a perfect example of like when people come from Overwatch and come to check out Paladins, like this slaps you like right in the face and go, wait, so you have an engineer s character that's a dwarf, okay? Well, that's like Torbjorn, and then you have this demon looking cloaked, character with a revolver that kind of looks like Reaper, and then you have your soldier, which I'm not too bothered about the soldier as much because it looks more like Team Fortress 2 soldier than anything. But
Hmm.
Fernando and then Ruckus are just really blatantly inspired by Reinhardt and Diva, even if
Well,
they
so hang on. I'm looking right now, actually. There's a huge Reddit post I just found, and it's the developer of Paladins. It's like the chief designer developer. His response to all these allegations that it's a copy or a clone. and there's footage from as far back as 2010 and 2012 that
Hmm.
show their old characters before Overwatch ever had any characters revealed. And so I don't know.
They have not been developing Paladins since 2012.
That's what they're saying. It's
I think
yeah,
that's
some
bullshit.
pre-alpha test footage from 2012. I don't know. I mean,
That would be one hell of a coincidence. I mean, I, I will say this though. People have been checking out Global Agenda was one of their IPs a long time
yeah.
ago, and a lot of the character abilities from Global Agenda seem to like carry over to Paladins.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm guessing is they scrapped Global Agenda and they carried over to Paladins. But the timing and the honestly the comparison between the characters doesn't feel good. Like I don't know.
No, I mean, and
Uh,
even if they were developing it long before Overwatch, like I'm not doubting maybe Paladins was being made before
what
Overwatch was even developed, but what
can
did
you?
they have made at that point?
Yeah,
Like
can you send me a link to the Reddit post? Is
yeah,
this it
yeah.
right
And
here?
so no, hang on.
Yeah, I want to see this because I want to see the alpha footage and I want to see what it looks like because just because they said that this is the alpha footage doesn't mean that they didn't have like blocked out.
Well, so it says alpha footage from 2012, but it's uploaded this year.
Mm, very
So I
convenient.
mean, they could. I don't know. Again, I'm not doubting they didn't have the core mechanics in the development in 2012. They could have, but after Overwatch was revealed last year, they very quickly could have put together some characters. I mean,
Well,
it's especially with
the
the big
thing
team.
is, okay, so we have here some pre-alpha test footage for 2012.
Supposedly.
So we have the Fernando hammer throw and the charge. Um, I'm not really too big. Like, I don't really care about the archer and the dwarf. Like, I don't know. The dwarf and I think the ruckus are very. Let's check out. Let's just take a look really quick. Oh God, this
But
footage
again,
from 2012. Yeah,
I mean,
but
how hard would it have been to take new footage and make it look like crap? I mean, they could have.
well,
I,
here's the thing: is like dwarf engineer. It's so hard to tell if he's a dwarf or if he's just a little guy. I can't tell. Yikes! This is pretty raw footage, though. I'm gonna take a look really quick at the. Okay, the paladin. This is opening chess. Let's look at the knight Fernando. Because I would say that there's some characters in Global Agenda that have the ability to like. Okay, so yeah, see, look, but in 2012 they had prototype Knight Fernando, and then like they release a game where the knight looks like this arm knight, like this mechanic armored knight that can bring out an energy shield, and
no.
yeah, there's something I don't know.
I think they should just fess up and say, we thought their character design was really fun. We put our own spin on it. End of
This
story.
this Overwatch versus Paladins debate really has to stop as it's getting frustrating now. Articles like these are significantly big websites are posting the wrong things. Reading all this makes me want to play Global Agenda.
I know I saw that. I was like, that game's still around. I should install it.
It's not though. Like that apparently my roommate was telling me that it only has like one server and like
Yeah,
they took it off the Steam market so that people can't even buy it anymore. So it's kind of like
it's
if you
still out.
had yeah, if you bought the game, you can play it, I guess. I don't it's the weird that's the weirdest thing cuz I asked him I was like, "Well, if it's a full game that they released a long time ago and the server's still up, why would they take away the Steam page
Uh-huh.
to buy it, you know?" And I can't
Well,
figure that
so
one out.
so like beyond the physical similarities of Paladins and Overwatch characters, I think the gameplay itself is pretty awesome and different. Like I think I don't know, at first glance it feels like Overwatch because you've got, obviously it's a hero shooter. You have these different characters that have abilities, and it's still got that whimsical cartoon look. I
Yeah.
don't know, it is a lot like Overwatch, but you have, I think one of the things that immediately sets it apart is that leveling system, which is per match, kind of like MOBA games. You level up that match and then start fresh the next round. And I don't know, I kind of like that. I think it sort of makes the characters feel like your own, and it lets you try out different play styles, even for just like 5 minutes, which I don't know, it's kind of fun. There's not really any risk. You're not committing to some character leveling system for
I think
hundreds of hours. It's
yeah, I think the my main complaint with Paladins versus Overwatch, where it feels like Overwatch's pacing is just right. It's not too slow, not too fast, and that way you can literally team up with other people to make really cool combos happen with your ults. Whereas Paladins is like, it is literally just Team Fortress and Unreal Tournament. Just it's a really super fast. Everybody's really doing their own thing. I mean, you're on a team, but it doesn't really feel like you're on a team. You're really just kind of it feels like a death match with a payload thrown in. So I mean, it feels as fast as like Team Fortress would, and
it's pretty chaotic. I don't know though. I think it caters to different crowds. I mean, Paladins has that payload that you have to, protect the whole time. So it kind of has this MOBA feel where you're working to protect an NPC thing, and it's just total chaos. I don't know. I feel like it's
well, Overwatch has the payload and capture the point game modes too.
Yeah.
So it's just like at this point, it's like one of those celebrities, like the two celebrities that wear the same dress, and then right now we're just like, who wore it better?
I think that's pretty fair. I mean,
Yeah,
Paladins is just a little faster. It's
yeah,
it's a little quicker. It's got the leveling. Like
I would say they're completely different games, and I think my only complaint aesthetically, because I think the game looks really great aesthetically,
yeah.
though. One, it doesn't make sense why characters would just be riding out on horses.
Every one of them. They should at least have different mounts, like heroes.
Yeah, because like you have like this big turtle character riding on a horse, it doesn't make any sense. And then another complaint that I had earlier that I was talking to Brady about, I was like, all these characters look like they're characters from different games thrown into like one game, whereas Overwatch has a really Overwatch did a really good job with taking all these really diverse characters and making them look like they're really part of that universe. Whereas Paladins, they kind of just took a bunch of unique characters and then just threw them all in this game, and none of them look like they belong together. And I think that's my main complaint. But I mean, that's not a big deal in terms of like gameplay, but for me aesthetically, I was just like, because they all have like the stylized cartoony look, but at the same time, like colors and the way the armor works on different characters isn't really consistent or cohesive. Whereas like Overwatch, like when you look at Diva's armor, like certain things about her armor you can see back in Reinhardt's design. And I think that's what, that's the difference between a AAA studio design team versus, hi-rez studios design team. They're conscious of these like really subtle design themes. So, but overall, I guess like, if you can get past certain like similarities with character designs, the Paladins is a completely different game compared to Overwatch. I would say they're completely different experiences, and it's fun. I would say it's good to hop on and kill stuff, but as far as competitive, I don't really find it a very competitive experience. I think it's too chaotic. It's very chaotic compared to like, I mean, Team Fortress was chaotic, but they found a way to make it competitive, and Overwatch is pretty competitive now, even though it's still pretty chaotic too. But and
I think going back to games like Unreal Tournament and Quake that were, pure shooting experiences, they were a Twitch shooter, kind of like Paladins. It's faster, like those. Those were extremely competitive. I mean, those put competitive shooting games on the map. Like they helped chisel out their place. And I think a lot of that's because the shooting was still so refined and concise, and you didn't have tons of these crazy abilities blowing up the entire screen. And I feel like Paladins, you can get a lot of just dumb luck, like dumb luck kills. And Overwatch, obviously you have some of that because everyone has these crazy abilities, but it's still different. Like Overwatch, like you said, is paced perfectly. It's slower and a little more tactical, I would argue. And because of that, I don't know, it rewards skill more. Whereas Paladins, yes, a good player will stand out somewhat, but it's just such absolute chaos that
Yeah.
I don't see it being as big on the e-game scene as Overwatch.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of like in terms of certain character like gameplay mechanics. I think they did a really cool job with certain characters. I can't remember her name, but there's a chick that can make clones of herself, and those clones can actually heal teammates around them, and you can teleport to certain clones when you leave them out. So it feels like it was like it's something that would normally come out of a Overwatch PTR test. Like they would test that out, but uh, as far as that character for Paladins, it's a really cool concept, but I feel like I have a hard time putting it into practice inside the game, like being useful rather than just spamming clones and hoping that they heal my teammates and that I actually find a reason to want to teleport from time to time. So, like, and like the map designs, like obviously, I don't know, Paladins, like they have a really like these really closed off maps. It feels like you're I don't know how to describe it, but it feels very claustrophobic compared to Overwatch, where you feel like you're in this big, you know.
Yeah, I think in
words.
Paladins Paladins it's a lot of like little pathways and tunnels that funnel you into one central arena, which is fine every now and then, but when every level starts to do that, it feels, I don't know, it feels very similar no matter what level you're playing. Whereas Overwatch, certain levels favor certain types of characters. They have some that are really open, some that are closed off. And Paladins does feel very like claustrophobic, and then with these just central fighting areas where you're gonna run into everyone. And
Yeah, well,
it's old,
it just feels like it's so chaotic that you would really want more space to kind of breathe so
Yeah.
that you can actually do something with, but it just feels very there's like, I mean, you can go off the beaten path to get around a payload or something like that, but like I remember there was a map with a cavern, and I just remember it was very linear, and like you had a few spots where you can get above somebody and get around somebody, but I don't know, it just felt like I guess it felt like a Team Fortress 2 map, actually, now that I think about it. So, but anyways, do you have anything else you want to talk about
I
before
don't
we
think
wrap
so.
up?
I mean, I feel like it sounds like we're bashing the game pretty bad, but at the end of the day, it's free. The in-app, the in-game purchases aren't totally necessary. You still earn currency. You can still buy characters. I think for what it is, I think it's great. I think it's a fun, free-to-play shooting game, and I think
Yeah,
they deserve credit for that. I would have liked to have seen them take a different direction with the art style. Other than that, I mean, all these other complaints, I think if it were a different aesthetic, I would overlook most of this, but the comparison between Overwatch and Paladins is obvious because they look so similar and they came out right in the same time window. I mean,
yeah.
you can't ignore that.
It's either one hell of a coincidence, or they
Mhm.
decided to make that choice, and I think that choice um kind of hurt them, but at the same time it kind of helped them because a lot of people were like, okay, well, I gotta go make my YouTube video about this stupid game. And then they hop on the game and they start playing. They're like, well, this game's kind of fun, but I'm here to bash it. Anyways, well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everybody here that made it all the way through the video. We'll be putting out some more content later in the next few weeks. So,
Now that I'm settled, we will actually film again.
oh yeah, I guess we
No
can
more
explain
cost.
that John moved to Texas and got married, so left
And
me
I'm
here.
expecting a kid, so yeah,
Oh
a lot
yeah,
going
that too.
on.
You kind of,
Don't leave that out.
you just went balls deep into life. You're like, like you're like,
Milestones all at once, just flew through every
yeah,
red light.
you're like, I just finished college, got a good job, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey Ryan, by the way, adulthood.
Hey, just finished college. That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it just feels like yesterday though. So
Yes, it does.
well,
Thank you for tuning in, whoever
yeah,
you
thank you guys, and we'll
either
see
feel
you probably not next week because we're lazy, but we'll see you soon. Thank you.